Deshaun Watson. Now, this story went down at the end of... So, the next day after our Wednesday show, we were kind of like speculating what this would look like. Roger Goodell obviously pushing back on, the suspension that was already handed down, which was only 6 games. And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I want him gone a full season. Like that's this is predatory. Like the words he was using were very intense when it came to how he was going to be appealing the suspension initially that was handed down. So you're thinking, hey, I'm thinking this is going to be like at least a season. I think, Browns fans were just upset about this, and which is dumb. And you just had like all these different, people thinking, all right, it feels like he's going to be good to miss one season. And, he's still, there's still a lot that goes into this. Well, we had an update Thursday after the show, after our Wednesday show, that Deshaun Watson will receive a 11-game suspension. This was an agreement, by the way, a settlement with the NFL and Deshaun Watson, where he will not get paid for these 11 games after he was accused by more than 24 women of sexual misconduct during massage sessions. Watson will also pay a fine of $5 million and undergo mandatory evaluation by behavioral experts and follow their suggested treatment program. So Watson's spokesperson, his suspension takes into effect August 30th, when the NFL teams cut down to the roster limit of 53. He will be eligible for reinstatement November 28th and will be available to play for the Browns again in Week 13 when Cleveland faces, wait for it, the Houston Texans. Is that
in Houston?
In Houston, on the road. Is that
even,
like... And
Andy, who lives out in Houston, how do you protect your family?
Watch your kids, watch your wife, watch your daughters out there.
Don't.
Oof. This is there's a lot of unfortunate things that one. This seems like, from an NFL standpoint, that Roger Goodell folded like a tent, like a cheap tent, right? And just was like, hey, we're just going to go with this. It's just interesting how it landed on that specific. NFL wants ratings. Is it a coincidence that he's going to be returning for that Houston game in Houston? I don't know. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it. I guarantee that. So a lot of people unhappy with this. Twitter blew up. Not going to be something that, people are going to be a fan of. He's going to get booed around the league. It's crazy. Scotty, go.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at your comment. Cuban coming in clutch. I noticed the interesting photo you chose for this, Chris, here with Watson's. It's some tight shorts there, Chris. So I noticed that point, but Cuban took it to another level. He's like how you have Roger looking angrily at Watson's crotch. And that's kind of what's going on here. First of all, Watson, do you have no representation that advises you not? What are you doing? Wear some looser shorts out there. It'll be okay. You'll be fine. You don't have to. Goodness gracious. Does any other quarterback wear, I know, like, Derek Carr embarrassingly rolls up his sleeves, and that's embarrassing. But this is weird, man. This is weird. Anyway,
now I gotta vet my graphics that I pulled from here on out. And
you didn't notice Watson's shorts here? It was an interesting. The whole time you were talking, I was just like, "That's an interesting choice."
Do I just pull it up? Pull it up there? Just leave it there?
Well, you can't. Okay.
Okay. All right. We're just gonna leave that there. Okay. All right.
There we are. He's now balls deep. No. Okay.
Oh, no.
Guys, let's bring this back. Let's bring it back.
Bring it back.
Thank you, Cuban. That was epic, Cuban, as he always delivers. Leave it. It's small. LLG girl. Oh, Andy reminds me of the Modern Family and Biker Shorts episode. Classic episode.
Come on, man.
Love it.
I'll vet the images more.
Chris, I can't believe you chose that image.
I saw, and
What did you see, Chris?
I just saw Deshaun Watson, and then I mean, I don't look down. I don't look for those things. It wasn't like something I was like really focused in on.
I definitely saw it, and it's not something I wouldn't label myself as someone that just starts looking there, Chris.
Well, Roger Goodell
has
some interest. It looks like
some. Look of just sheer disappointment,
and it is unfortunate the placement of Roger Goodell too. So I just hit a home run with this one across the board.
Why is Roger so short? Is he on his knees, Chris?
Yeah,
is he on his knees?
Oh,
we're taking a serious matter. We're making it light. It's fun. I mean, but I will say. As we're getting out of control.
All seriousness.
Out of control. I will say the chat's going off. Chat's going off with it. So
two-headed monster.
Intended or not, this is going great.
I should
for us. You should just. I have a feeling this is gonna be. Can't not look anymore, Chris.
I have a feeling this will be a very clipped segment of our show. Just
yeah.
Have a hunch.
No, put that on the TikTok. Is it the TikTok or just TikTok?
The TikTok, yes.
I thought so. I real quick, I'm not one to believe that the NFL was happy with his opening game being in Houston. There is no way the NFL... Listen, the NFL cares about ratings, no doubt. And yes, this will be a discussed game, but they would not... maybe I'm just being too positive towards the NFL, but they would not purposely decide like, hey, we really want you because of the timing of this would work out really well for us. I think, as I put in our Discord chat, there's a rumor out there, and then Chairman questioned it, and I don't know the specifics, so maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but it had to do with, this was the ultimate stoppage point in which I think Deshaun Watson and his team would agree to on a settlement, because if he doesn't play 6 games this year, I believe, he doesn't tenure a year, and then his salary advances another year, and it falls back, and it's not a good situation for Deshaun's team. I could care less. I wish he made no money at all. So I don't care about Deshaun's money, but his team probably does. So this was probably, if they were going to reach a settlement, 11 was the peak that the NFL could have got and what Deshaun's team would have accepted because of the money situation that would have reportedly followed the following year. I still think he should have been out a year. Don't care about his money. It was a $5 million fine, which is like
nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it's nothing to the guy who got the biggest guaranteed contract in the history of football, which is gross. Absolutely gross that he got that. And Cleveland will become, like, people were mad at the Astros, right?
True.
Like, fans were mad at the Astros when they cheated.
Yep.
I think Cleveland, it's going to be worse than that.
Oh,
I think it's going to be worse. They're going to... One, I think they've lost fans of their team in general, and not think. I know they have lost diehard Browns fans that have stuck with them through 87 years of dog shit or whatever it is. I know they're a new franchise technically, but they've been shit, right? And they've stuck with them through that, but don't need to stick through this. I mean, they sold their soul. And Jimmy Haslam is embarrassing in his remarks. The whole team has handled it terribly. That's disappointing on every spectrum. People want to be mad at like Goodell in the NFL. I understand why you hate Goodell in the NFL and a lot of things they do and the punishments don't fit. Like, I get that. In this situation, your hate needs to be directed towards the Cleveland Browns 100%. This is all Cleveland just selling their absolute soul for wins. And I hope they fall flat on their face. so much.
Yeah.
When he comes back, I hope they're out of contention, or even better, I hope they're in contention and he shits the bed, which I think he will do.
Well,
He's reportedly he looked trash in his one preseason game. He looked trash in camp the one day film. Like he's not an elite thrower of the ball, Chris. He never has been.
I mean, he hasn't been showing anything that has been eye-popping so far. It's kind of crazy. H-Town, welcome in H-Town. This is hitting right at home here. Real question is, sorry, it's moving on me. Real question, are the Texans giving him a tribute video? Ooh.
It's probably just this clip, Chris. It's probably just this image that we're going to sell to the Texans for, I don't know, $10,000.
It's this clip with this image with the curb music playing behind, and then as he's running out of the tunnel, they got the curb music just rolling, blasting. I think that seems fair for a tribute video, I would think.
Yeah. We have zero rights to this, but $10K anyway. I mean, I think the Texans are probably dumb enough to do it. So,
I don't think that that's true, Scotty. And when I went back to look for that tweet, it had been deleted.
As far as the one you questioned before, as far as the contract situation and why it was at 11 games with him needing 6 games, maybe it's not. I just read that from a source that seemed reputable. It may not be. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but if that's not true, it just seems like 11 games is very specific, Chris. It's like a weird number.
It's a random number.
I feel like the NFL always lands on an even number. Like, I don't even know if they know what odd numbers are based off their suspensions. No. It's always an even number. So to hit at 11 seems pretty odd. Especially if it wasn't a money situation. G-Girl thinks it's ratings. The NFL doesn't need the ratings from a Texans-Browns game, in my opinion. I think they're going to be fine without it. Roger. It's not worth it. That would be my advice to the NFL. Like, if Goodell came up to me and was like, hey, we could get really good ratings and really good discussion, really good talk based off of if this was their first game back. And I'd be like, yeah, but the actual game's going to suck. And do you really need that? Like, you're doing fine and you have way better matchups that you can market and way better teams. And I'd be like, I would think that Goodell would come to his senses, maybe not, and be like, you're right.
Well, it comes back down, and the flip side of that, right? So H-Town, I'm interested in going to the fans just to see how they react. Well, and that's what's going to happen in that. You mentioned that no one's going to care. Ratings are going to be down for a Browns-Texans game. Not on this one. People are going to want to see the train wreck of this guy's return and how much hate he gets. Like, people won't tune in for the game itself. They'll tune in, unless they bet on it, obviously. They'll tune in to see Watson just get raked over the coals, right?
Hopefully.
It's only going to happen, and it just.
But Andy puts out there, I think Watson probably wants to torch the Texans, which is maybe true in Watson's mind, but in everyone else's mind, what did the Texans do wrong? The Texans did wrong by catering, knowing that he had this issue, and kind of catered to it,
or not questioning the weird behavior.
Allowed it to happen, and kind of set up some of these. Quite frankly, I don't know why. Clearly Watson has some anger towards the Texans in general, but I don't know why. Like, they catered to his. And here's the other thing that sucks about all of this, Chris, that I haven't even mentioned, which is obvious. Watson in January is like, I didn't do anything wrong. And then last week, before this ruling came out, it was like, I'm sorry, I apologize to all the females I heard and this and that. And then the moment the decision comes down, he comes out and is just like, I didn't do anything wrong.
It's bad.
So why did you apologize a week ago? And quite frankly, it's embarrassing. Now the NFL should just counter. Like, I don't know if the stuff was probably signed or whatever, but it's yeah. Andy puts. I'm sorry if it triggered you. By the way, if you're an athlete or an owner or a GM or anything like that, how you don't have someone telling you to not use the word triggered in anything you ever say is like, triggered is basically you saying, I'm sorry if you were bothered by that. You shouldn't have been. That's how I feel about triggered, Chris. Like, triggered is basically, I'm sorry you're upset about that, but you shouldn't be because sure. I didn't do anything wrong. That's what the word triggered. And I feel like not only did Deshaun use it, I think Jimmy Haslam used it, the owner of the Browns, like, which is just wild.
Well,
wildly inept.
And it's going to be curious.
It's just they've handled this situation so poorly.
They've handled it poorly. And here's the thing. We have a lot of women in our show. We have a lot of women that watch the NFL that, you know, we like, this is a huge deal to like the female population of like everyone out there that are fans of the game, and seeing this guy get away with what he got away with and only serving 11 game and not really, it seems like a slap on the wrist. And it's like, man, when these games roll around and he starts traveling around, man, there's gonna be a lot of ladies that they're gonna have something to say. I guarantee it. And let's just.
Do you think there's any chance? I don't foresee this, but it's a question. Do you see there's any chance? And then by now it probably would have already happened. And these players just want to get paid and do what they're doing. But a player comes out that plays for that team and is like, I don't want to play for this team anymore. I don't want to be a part of what you guys are standing for and what you signed the largest guaranteed contract in the history of football for. Like elite players even. Like someone take a stand and be like, I don't trade me. Like I don't want to be here because of what you have decided is more important than anything else. I don't foresee that, but I would love that. I would love if a player stepped up and did that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that looks like? And then you have other players doing the same thing, supporting. Yeah, it's crazy. It takes one person. It takes one impact player to do that. And it would make headlines everywhere, realistically. Football wife, he's a douchebag. Yeah, absolutely. How is Milwaukee's best? How is this guy going to walk into a Browns facility and say, I want a massage? Like,
well, I mean, and everyone admits wrongdoing because he has to have pre-approved, and they're not going into too much detail, but it has to be team approved. It has to be in their facility. It's just like so many things that should actually just be normal things, but they have to throw out caveats because, listen, Deshaun has like, clearly it's an addiction to the point he did it.
Yeah.
It's an addiction. It's
a problem.
He's an addict. He's an addict on whatever that was, whatever that entailed. He was an addict, and he didn't care about the person on the other end of it. He didn't.
Yeah.
He just was like, I'm an athlete, and I'm going to get them to go here, and they know what they're signing up for.
The difference is he gets to move on with his life, making millions of dollars playing football, and they get to go home traumatized and, you know, questioning their profession moving forward. Like, there's two different outcomes. One person benefits and continues to succeed. The others, they have a tougher route when it comes to their profession now, which is sad to say. H-Town. Sad thing is he was the face of the Texas franchise and one of the top QBs in the league.
100%. I mean, he seemed, from everything you heard, like one of the nice, genuine, good guys, and like it just makes you question, like, what's behind closed doors. Maybe we should be careful to lift up these people that maybe aren't worthy of what we're doing. Yep. But I get it. Like, people need role models. They need people to look up to. They need things outside of their own life to look at and be like, this is matter so much to me. I get that 100%. He's just clearly failed now in that. I don't know if all do, but he has.
I heard he purchased Massage Envy franchise. He can't purchase anything without eyeballs watching. There's no way he's doing anything without 10 people checking off on it first. It's sad, especially anyone that's been through these types of situations. Totally. Cuban, look how many NFL cities went crazy talking about how to land him when he announced that he wanted out of Houston. And that was in the midst of everything, right? That was why everything paused for a little bit. Carolina was invested time and resources into trying to put some packages together. You had all sorts of teams that were in the mix.
Better usage of the word packages, Chris.
Come on, man. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
I think there were a lot of teams. Some backed off, and I think ultimately everyone backed off last offseason. Otherwise, he would have been moved and not just sat for a year. I think it did affect people. I think Denver was probably involved before everything came out with this last year.
No, they dropped off quick after that.
I think I do think they dropped off. I think that's true. But they were involved before it, which is, they needed a quarterback. That's totally fine. Andy, him and Tiger need that sex addict rehab. Agreed. They're both addicts. I would argue that Tiger, and maybe we don't know everything, but I think Tiger did it in a fashion where the other party was a willing party. He was certainly an addict, cheated on his wife repeatedly, and had a lot of issues there, but he didn't just put it in a situation of a massage that was a surprise to the person that was supposed to be doing a paid duty. I think Tiger, everyone that got involved with Tiger had a willing part in that. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Is my opinion. I don't know for sure, I guess.
Klept, so watch episode 1 of that Manti Te'o doc. Feel bad his family consoled his fake girlfriend's family. Other than that, the signs were there that he was being catfished. You can't say that, Klept, because honestly, watch the second episode, Klept, but that was before catfishing was a thing, though.
Yeah.
That was before people. That was before the show came out, I believe. That was before all these things. There wasn't really a lot of that. The internet was super early. Or as far as social media and what people were doing on social media. So it's hard to tell that he didn't see it coming, especially with the intricacies of what was said on that phone by the same person in 4 different voices. It sounds from the voicemails you can't. I think most of us would have been all right, this probably would have got me into trouble too. If I was in that situation, if I was
clearly it sounds like at points he questioned things. It's not like he never questioned it.
Sure.
And was just totally comfortable with never seeing this person. If you watch the whole doc, and again, like you stated, it wasn't really a thing then. That wasn't something you would even think about happening.
Yeah.
Being catfish or whatever. The term wasn't even out there really at that point. So, yeah. Other things, Chairman, the more important question is how to fix this going forward. The criminal justice system hasn't seemed to find the solution. We'd be crazy to think the NFL would.
Well, the NFL has had its own issues trying to drop down punishments and associate crimes outside of the game with how they manage the game itself and suspensions and what there's not really been consistency across the board, and there needs to
not even close.
There needs to be something that just there's some standards.
It's hard because a lot of these punishments that have come down haven't been criminally charged. So you could put a stipulation. If you're criminally charged with sexual assault, you're automatically suspended a season. You could put that out there. But Watson hasn't been technically criminally charged. Other guys they've suspended, like Roethlisberger, like Ezekiel Elliott, like
you had Ray Rice back in the day, which that was more.
Ray Rice video was insane, obviously, and he was originally suspended 2 games, and then the video came out, and they're like, it was a firestorm of disaster,
which shouldn't be the case. Realistically, the fact that you make those
the NFL should have had access, and maybe did. I'm not gonna say they definitely did, but maybe did have access to that video that came out. And if they did, it's gross that they only suspended him 2 games. I mean, there's been a lot of guys during. There was a defensive end that eventually played for the Cowboys. That like assaulted his girlfriend or wife, like brutally beat her like a decade ago. That I'm drawing a blank on.
Oh, the guy that went into the UFC.
It's only
Yeah.
Why you have to be
Well, you have to be mad.
I mean, the MLB's done a good job with Trevor Bauer. A lot of points made there. Like Trevor Bauer, pitcher in Major League Baseball, rumored, hasn't been. I don't know where that's at exactly, but maybe not criminally charged. But at the same time, has been out of the league since midway of last year. Once it came out, he hasn't come back since, and no one seems to care. Maybe Trevor Bauer does. I bet he does, but he put himself in this situation by brutally. And there's an argument. I mean, he supposedly like. Yeah, it was Greg Hardy. Thank you, Andy. I knew you would know as a Cowboys fan who I was talking about, but I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be this hard. Mm-hmm. I think the problem is how diehard NFL fans are. No offense compared to MLB. Like MLB loses a player, you lose a pitcher, that sucks. You're going to talk about it for a while, but through time, it kind of goes away. A quarterback in the NFL, it just doesn't go away, and it's a problem. I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's just something that you can't just be like, we'll just indefinitely suspend him for forever. Although I think the NFL would have loved to do that with Watson. I think they would have loved to do that. I really do. But I don't think they felt like that was a reality for what they could pull off based off of their ineptitude in prior cases. Like, they only have themselves to blame. The NFL, I think, wanted to get aggressive and go over the top and suspend him for a long, long time. And Watson, I really, really do. But they couldn't because of their history, their own blame in this.
They need to start fresh now. Like, I mean, they need to set the standards now. And they need to set standards like, all right, you have a felony or you have something that happens. There's an automatic tie into if you're convicted.
Yeah, but he's not a felon, Chris.
No. I'm just saying I'm just saying in general. Like, let's say someone commits a felony. So let's say someone commits a misdemeanor. Let's say someone commits a traffic violation or driving under the DUI. Like, having some set standards of this is what for everyone who out there who has kids, if you don't have discipline for your kids and it's kind of like wishy-washy on like, hey, you can't do that or else I might ground you or I might put you in timeout. I haven't figured it out yet, but let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Like, that kid isn't going to realize that discipline is, once you come to that, it's not going to work. It's not going to curb they don't know what to expect from a discipline standpoint. So whatever, right? So I think that's a similar thing. Like, you have to set some standards when it comes to off the field altercations or incidents, from the minor, whether that's stupid marijuana stuff, all the way up to like big stuff. Set the standard and just lay it out there. Do something.
I think Chairman talks about this and he says, I agree with your principle, Chris, but the problem is that the penalty for an accusation when no charges have been filed.
Yeah, it's true. That's the big wrench, that it's like you're waiting for that trial date. It could happen later on.
And
you're innocent until proven guilty.
If someone is charged, I think what the NFL should do is, if someone is charged with a felony, anything beyond a misdemeanor, that person should be indefinitely suspended pending their legal proceedings. And if they are proven to be not guilty, the NFL has enough money to back pay that. They should take that on and have an insurance policy where they back pay that. All right, you missed out on this payment because you were tied up in these legal proceedings and you were found not guilty. We'll back pay you. We'll back pay and we'll reimburse you for the money lost and the time lost. But you don't play until your case is settled. If you're a felony or bill,
which you think about that, right? Let's say you're a player going into a contract season. Let's say there's a big free agency coming up, and you're going to get paid or something else. Maybe that alters the way you think about what you do when you're just on the side, right? Because then from there, it's like I'm going to be missing out on getting a big payday. Sure, I can, if I'm proven innocent, I can get that money back that I would have made this season, but that's not. I'm taking the hit on the back end when it comes to signing a new contract with a new team with all these distractions and all these things. They might put more stuff in the contract that stipulates if you do this bad, this thing, then. So there needs to be something, but it's crazy. I want to get back to Cubans. On what level?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a code yellow as you finish this out, and when I come back, Chris, we're gonna move on because I am upset about this just like everyone else is, but at the same time, we
spent way too much time.
So much that I don't. It sounds sad to say, but I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No. I agree. We spent way too much time on this topic, and it needs to be said. Let's spam code yellow in the chat. Let's hit it. Cuban, on what level is Watson's addiction to this ruining it for lots of other players, owners, etc. in the NFL? No way he is the only one ordering unlicensed massages online. Not far from Robert Kraft. There is a reason they allowed his contract to be structured so it isn't really getting in trouble. Totally. Like it's a systematic thing. Like there's other things that got into this. Milwaukee's Elliott got suspended 6 games for lifting a girl's shirt up. Yeah, I mean consistency. That's what I'm talking about. It's consistency. There's an issue though. The lifespan on athletes is capped. It's not like you work. Yeah, no, totally. Clep. That was kind of my point. Is like, you missing out on playing time really hurts you in the long run when it comes to getting into new contracts, getting into, trade scenarios. Teams might shy away all of a sudden. They might not give you that. Maybe you don't play and you get an injury right off the bat, then you're done. Like there's a lot of things that could happen, which you should think twice about, right? So interesting stuff. But like Scott said, let's move on from it. We don't have to worry about talking about this until week 11, we hope. Because that's going to be a topic at that point. So we'll see what ends up happening with that homecoming of sorts back to Houston.